Session today is Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. Please ensure your line is muted for those calling in. Thank you. First, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
LGBTQ plus History Month is an annual observance that takes place in October here in the United States. It is a time to educate and to celebrate the achievements and contributions of LGBTQ plus people, which are often overlooked or erased in the mainstream narratives of history, as well as to raise awareness of ongoing challenges and discrimination. This month-long celebration is important because it helps to recognize the diversity and history of the LGBTQ plus community. It can promote greater acceptance and inclusivity of queer people by highlighting the diversity and richness of the queer community and by showing that their members have always been an integral part of society and hopefully strive to create a more inclusive and equal world for all. In turn, National Coming Out Day is celebrated tomorrow, October 11th. It was first celebrated on the first anniversary of the 1987 National March on Washington for Lesbian and Gay Rights, a date chosen to honor the bravery of LGBTQ plus individuals who decide to come out and live openly. Although it started as an American Awareness Day, the meaning of National Coming Out Day is still highly relevant to the LGBTQ plus communities across the world today. Coming out is a unique experience for each LGBTQ plus person, and we need to remember it is not a one-time event. For those who are questioning their identities or living in an unwelcoming environment, seeing someone come out, whether it is a family member, a friend, or a coworker, can offer a feeling of hope, solidarity, and reassurance. And whether you identify as LGBTQ plus or an ally, celebrating National Coming Out Day is an important way to raise the visibility of our communities, reminding us all of the ongoing struggles LGBTQ plus people face just for being themselves, but also of the joy and pride of being openly LGBTQ plus. Here to share more is Svetlana Harlan, project coordinator for the Gay Ohio History Initiative. Welcome, Ms. Harlan.
Hello, my name is Svetlana Harlan, and I'm a Community Engagement Coordinator at the Ohio History Connection. In that role, I help manage the Gay Ohio History Initiative, or GOHI. At the Ohio History Connection, our mission is to spark discovery of Ohio stories, embrace the present, share the past, and transform the future, combined with our core values of relevance, inclusivity, authenticity, stewardship, and working together. I'm proud that GOHI is one of the many ways that we are advancing that mission and those values across the state of Ohio, especially here in Franklin County. October is a uniquely special time to share the importance of LGBTQ history. It is LGBTQ History Month in the United States, and tomorrow, October 11th, is National Coming Out Day. Tomorrow and the month of October are a time when members of the LGBTQ community recognize and celebrate the amazing achievements of activists, community leaders, as well as the tenacity and resilience of our LGBTQ communities. Tomorrow, National Coming Out Day, is a day in which members of the LGBT community can proudly live their truth and celebrate being their authentic selves without shame and hopefully without persecution. In 2023, National Coming Out Day is directed by the Human Rights Campaign, a leading organization for LGBTQ activism. It is observed around the United States, but also in countries like the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Switzerland. One of the founders of National Coming Out Day is an activist from Cleveland, Ohio. Jean O'Leary grew up in Cleveland and attended Cleveland State University, graduating in 1971. She championed National Coming Out Day in 1988, hoping to create a day that empowered members of the LGBTQ community to speak proudly and positively about their identities. In 1994, the Missouri teacher who founded LGBTQ History Month chose the month of October, partially because of National Coming Out Day on October 11th. The creation of National Coming Out Day and LGBTQ History Month has some Ohio roots and is thus part of Ohio's history. Recognizing LGBTQ History Month here in Ohio is important because it acknowledges the significant contribution LGBTQ people have made to the larger story of Ohio. It also gives us a chance to appreciate the full spectrum of LGBTQ history, not just the difficult struggles to achieve equal rights, marriage equality, and workplace protections, but also the stories of community, joy, and fellowship. At Go High, it's our goal to recognize the extensive and diverse histories of LGBTQ individuals and communities throughout Ohio, and to incorporate these stories into our larger understanding of Ohio history. Go High began in 2006 when Outlook Media donated its print run of magazines to start our initial archival collection. Since then, Go High's collection has grown immensely, including thousands of manuscripts, physical objects, AV media, publications, and oral histories. This collection is accessible to our patrons at the Ohio History Center here in Columbus, and some of the collection has been digitized and is available on Ohio History Connection's online platform, Ohio Memory. The Go High collection provides researchers interested in Ohio's LGBTQ history the opportunity to research in a collection that is specifically designed and built around LGBTQ identities and stories. One of the greatest challenges when it comes to researching and writing on LGBTQ history is the difficulty of tracking down archival sources. Unfortunately, many documents that trace the origins of this rich history have been destroyed or intentionally or unintentionally excluded from archival collections. That's why collections like Go High that aim to preserve these records and make them easily accessible are so important. In addition to our collection, Go High's other major focus is community outreach and engagement. From the beginning, Go High was a grassroots, community-led effort. The LGBTQ community of Ohio should be empowered to tell their stories rather than to have a narrative imposed on them. That's why we work with community members and organizations to help shape our work at Go High. This community-centered approach, as well as our mission and core values, are central to the work we're currently undertaking. We're currently in the early stages of a 3-year project called Marking Diverse Ohio, an effort to create 10 new Ohio historical markers that recognize and uplift LGBTQ stories across the state. There are currently only 3 LGBTQ markers in the state of Ohio that tell stories, historical stories related to LGBTQ topics. Through Marking Diverse Ohio, we're listening to the LGBTQ communities around the state to hear the stories they want to see uplifted by an Ohio historical marker. We're also offering our expertise and research assistance to make these applications successful because of the historical hardships and exclusion that the community has faced. So the prototype for the Marking Diverse Ohio project is Ohio History Connection's most recent LGBTQ marker, which recognizes Summit Station, Ohio's longest-running lesbian bar, right here in Columbus. It's Franklin County's first LGBTQ marker, but hopefully it won't be its last. We're hopeful that at least one of these 10 markers will find a home here in Franklin County. One of our candidates is the Paternoster House, a hospice and crisis center for those with HIV/AIDS that began in the Hilltop neighborhood in 1985. Between 1985 and 2000, over 900 patients were treated at the Paternoster House at little or no cost. It provided those who had been shunned by the mainstream medical establishment, and often by their own families, a dignified place to spend their final days. The Paternoster House became the center of national attention in November 1990 when Life magazine published a photo of the dying activist David Kirby on his deathbed, surrounded by a family that had previously rejected him. And I believe that that photo is available for you to see there. The image was dubbed "the photo that changed the face of AIDS." David Kirby's story wasn't unique at the Paternoster House. The folks that volunteered there worked to reconnect estranged families so that those dying of the plague could spend their final days surrounded by family. Given that in the early days of HIV/AIDS, the LGBTQ community was disproportionately affected, the story of the Paternoster House is an important piece of Franklin County's LGBTQ history. Through Marking Diverse Ohio, we're also working to set up a community of practice of those interested in learning about how to preserve LGBTQ history. The community of practice also provides those interested in preserving history a statewide network. In the future, we hope that the community of practice will serve as an advisory council for Go High, steering the work and engagement with the larger LGBTQ community around the state. This October, we encourage you to learn more about Ohio's LGBTQ history. www.gohigh.org is our central hub. There you can get connected with all of our physical and digital resources, including our extensive library of oral histories. We also link out to other Ohio-based collections organized around LGBTQ topics. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Ms. Harlan, let me just say thank you on behalf of Franklin County, but moreover, on behalf of Central Ohio. The history of our LGBTQ plus community is critical, not only to a growing community now, but also in what will be a Central Ohio that is going to look much different 10 years from now. And so the actions that we take today are a part of what's going to undergird how we think, how we operate, how we build, how we grow. And this history is very much a part of that landscape and ecosystem. And then finally, let me just say that let's not make this a sort of beginning of the month show up, we talk about LGBTQ community. I want to encourage you to engage us throughout the month. Whether you come back and stand before us and tell us about activities that are coming up or places that we can go and learn more about some of the path of our friends in our community, or just call our office or send us things. And I think that will allow us to push some of that out there and really make it as inclusive as we can. And so let this be the very beginning of a new kind of approach to helping to educate our community in the broader way and include everyone in that conversation of inclusiveness that includes equality and freedom to be who you are and who you want to be, and all the things that come thereof. So thank you so much for coming down today, and we appreciate the history and the sharing.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And that was a great reminder. Tomorrow night, we're actually having an event at the Ohio History Center with Summit Station. They're having an event called Meet the Sheroes, where we have folks from the bar, from the old days, come down and tell their stories. So if anyone is interested, please head on down to the Ohio History Center tomorrow at 6. Thank you.
I would just add a few things to what Commissioner Boyce said. He said that very well. But as I look at our motto on the wall, every resident, every day, I always say it's important for us to learn about the history of everyone in our community if we want to really be a welcoming and inclusive community here in Franklin County. And as we continue to grow and, businesses are coming and we have a lot of development and we love that growth, but we always want everyone in our community to be able to share in that prosperity, but not just share in the prosperity, but to understand the history that comes with different communities and acknowledging and respecting that. And then I would just say for the almost, 8,000 employees for Franklin County, it's important for us as the Board of Commissioners to not just have a welcoming environment for a place to work, but for the people that work for Franklin County that provide services to our residents, that we make a concerted effort and an intentional one to understand the history. But as Commissioner Boyce said, know what's going on in the community, events, activities that we can share with our employees and our staff, and that we can also show up to and be a part of. So, like you said, keep us involved, keep us in the loop, not just throughout this month, but throughout the year. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioners.
All right.
Madam President?
Yes.
Were you going to go into the agenda, or did you want to do anything with the Middle East conversation?
We can do that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. If you
Let me
want to
start?
let's
Okay. Thank you. I wanted to just say that our hearts and prayer go out to those families and innocent victims in the Middle East. I had the opportunity of being in the Middle East and Israel just a few weeks ago, and could see and experience the type of lifestyle that was unfolding on the news today that you see. but I had the opportunity to visit the Gaza Strip. I had the opportunity to talk to Israelis and Palestinians. And what I can say for sure is that no matter where you fall on the part of the conversation around a two-state solution, none of us support terrorism. None of us support innocent people and victims having to live their life every day in a terrifying environment that includes your own safety. And I have some friends that are there now, and I text them this morning. They can't get home, and I text them this morning, "Are you okay? How are things going?" And they share with me that yes, they are safe, but they're scared, you know. And those are our friends, those are our neighbors, and that some of these groups have threatened that this goes beyond Israel, and they're going to reach. They have more planned. It should be an alarm to all of us about the fragility of life through the lenses of terrorist organizations. And for that, I know I stand with my colleagues in condemning that kind of approach, that kind of vision, that kind of action, and we just won't stand for it. We won't stand for it at all. I had the opportunity to attend a vigil yesterday evening, and my heart goes out to the families that are residents of Central Ohio who have roots or who have family in the Middle East. And I can't imagine the type of feeling that is occurring. I was reading articles on CNN today, and some of the stories that were being told were just heartbreaking. And for that, it's important that we uplift peace and that we uplift and denounce terrorism, uplift the region and denounce terrorism. And that's where we stand. I believe we're going to be issuing a statement today because we want to do our part in recognizing the travesty that exists, but more importantly, denouncing the terrorist actions that can plague anyone's life. And even on American soil, many of us are old enough to recall watching the actions of 9/11 unfold. And I was a young city council person then, and I remember what that felt like. And even though it wasn't here in Central Ohio, it felt like it was right in my backyard. I remember rushing to try to figure out if I should get my kids out of school, and if I do, where do we go? What do we do? I remember convening with the mayor and city council members and other leaders to figure out, do we cancel school for the day? Do we get kids home? What do we say to our residents? We had intelligence that said that there was a plane that was unaccounted for, and it was near Ohio. What do we do? And the terror of making those kinds of choices and decisions are critical, and I just can't imagine being on the front line of that as the people in the Middle East are right now on both sides of that conflict, because innocent people are going to be impacted, and that is not okay. And so I just want to say my heart goes out to all of those in the region, the innocent people in the region who are suffering at the hands of terrorism. We denounce that, and we pray for the families and the victims thereof.
Thank you, Commissioner Boyce. I was just in Israel as well, not at the same time as Commissioner Boyce, but after. And I've been to Israel, I've been to Palestine, I've been to the Gaza Strip, I've been to the West Bank. It is an unfortunate and complex situation. And as Commissioner Boyce said, no matter where you stand on a two-state solution, innocent lives have died already. And more will die. And I think about the children who are at the effect of adults' decisions. And I get emotional because I entered the military because, and I tell this story all the time about how I ended up serving this country. I decided to go into the military. I was in school at the University of Toledo, and I dropped out of college and wanted to serve the military. My father was in the Army. My father was in Vietnam. My brother was serving in the Army. But I decided to join the Navy, because the USS Cole was bombed in Yemen, and 18 service members lost their lives in the Mediterranean, over in the Middle East. And so I enlisted in the Navy and went in 2000. I served during 9/11. I supported communication assets for the whole Atlantic Fleet as they moved from our shores over into the Mediterranean. I served during Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. And I have to denounce any form of terrorism, any form, whether foreign or domestic. I understand, some things that people are saying about the terrorist attack and the renewed violence over there. But I can't, as I have seen people that I know who have lost their lives at the hands of terrorism. And as my colleague said and stated it, I can't state it any better. There's nothing that we can, there's no two sides to that. So with that, we do stand with our friends. My policy director, Mariah Lieberman, who you all have worked with, I text her. She lives in Israel now. She left my office last year. Her sister is over there. She's over there. She's feeling safe right now. But as she said, I feel safe right now. But I know people who are not. I talk to people who are who live in a community right by the Gaza Strip. Talk to Palestinians who feel the same way what we see in the media indifferently too. It is not an easy situation, and it's very complex. But I stand with my friends in Israel who feel like they should fight back from a terrorist attack and keep their people safe. And I know that there are people dying in Palestine and in Israel, and I would love nothing more than a quick and peaceful permanent solution. So no one in Palestine or in Israel have to lose their life, that they all can live in peace, in harmony, and that children can see themselves and growing up and having a future and not living in 24-hour threat. I can't even imagine the PTSD that happens. And so I pray for everyone over in both regions. And I understand that it's other countries as well. I pray for everyone over there. And I hope that we can find a quick solution so no other person has to lose their life. So, with that, anybody else has anything to say? All right. So we will move to the regular agenda. Court of comment, please.
Resolution number 76023, resolution authorizing an addendum to the existing contract with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, CCA 2.0 grant, amendment increase of $366,800 for a new total grant of $12,202,840.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance, and with me is Dan Wunderlich, Chief Probation Officer. This resolution modifies the grant agreement between the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections and the Adult Probation Department's Community Corrections Program. This addendum allocates additional funding for use towards grant expenditures during the state fiscal year 2024 and 2025. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 760-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 76023 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Next, engineer.
Resolution number 76123, Tool Design Group LLC, consulting engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County engineer in performing a feasibility study for the Groveport Road Improvements Project, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $60,685.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brad Foster, along with Nick Soulis from the Franklin County Engineers Office. Commissioners, our first resolution seeks approval of a contract with Tool Design Group Consulting Engineers to perform a feasibility study for the Groveport Road Improvement Project. Tool Design Group is a local engineering firm and was chosen via engineers qualifications-based selection process. The project is located in southeast Franklin County and Madison Township and will study the Groveport corridor between the city of Groveport and the city of Canal Winchester to determine the feasibility of pedestrian infrastructure improvements. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 761-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 761-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 762-23, resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on Holton Road, County Road number 263, Jackson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks authorization to request the Department of Transportation to investigate the speed limit on Holton Road from Buckeye Parkway to State Route 104 in Jackson Township. ODOT will review Franklin County's study and determine a safe speed limit. The study conducted by Franklin County determined that a speed limit reduction from 55 to 45 would be appropriate. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 762-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 762-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 763-23, preliminary allocation and final encumbrance of county motor vehicle license fee, $5 funds for the city of Reynoldsburg.
Commissioners, our final resolution is for the city of Reynoldsburg has submitted a request for license fee funds to pay for improvements to Wagner Road between East Main Street and East Broad Street. This is a collaborative project between Franklin County and the city of Reynoldsburg. The project seeks to widen and rebuild Wagner Road along with pedestrian facilities. The county engineer has viewed and proposed the funds, and the proposed funds have been determined that they are allowable use. Pending any questions, I would ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 763-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 763-23 has been adopted.
And Commissioners, finally, I would like to mention the 2023 Touch and Ride a Truck event that will take place on Thursday, October 19th, which is a week from Thursday. The event will be from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. once again on October 19th, and the location is at the Obetz Fortress. If anyone would like to attend that event, we have a lot of vehicles and equipment. It will be a Halloween-oriented event. Kids and parents alike can come out and enjoy the evening and get to check out a lot of cool equipment that not only the engineer's office has, but also other contractors and contractors in the area. So once again, that's October 19th from 4 to 8, the Franklin County Engineer Touch a Truck event. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have the prosecuting attorney.
Resolution number 764-23, resolution authorizing the application to the Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance for a grant related to additional funding for post-conviction testing of DNA evidence in support of the Conviction Integrity Unit, and to authorize the county administrator to accept the grant award in the amount of $246,310.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jesse Armstrong, excuse me, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney on behalf of Franklin County Prosecutor Gary Tyak. This resolution would authorize an application to the U.S. Department of Justice for additional grant funding to support post-conviction testing of DNA evidence to be administered by the Prosecutor's Office Conviction Integrity Unit. If you recall, in 2022, you passed a resolution authorizing an initial application and for grant funding, which was received. The Prosecutor's Office has established the Conviction Integrity Unit, which is up and running. This grant would allow for additional funding and an extension of the time period for the initial grant to allow the Conviction Integrity Unit continue its work and continue this post-conviction DNA testing. Finally, this resolution would authorize the county administrator to execute any documents needed to approve and accept the grant funding from the Federal Department of Justice. No county match of the funding would be required for the receipt of these funds. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 764-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 764-23 has been adopted.
Next up, we have the sheriff.
Resolution number 765-23, resolution authorizing a supplemental appropriation within the LETF Federal Treasury Fund to purchase vehicles for the Internal Affairs Bureau and the Warrants and Extraditions Unit.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our resolution authorizes a supplemental appropriation to purchase vehicles from our LETF fund. We are requesting these funds be allocated to our Law Enforcement Trust Fund, Federal Treasury Fund, to purchase these vehicles for internal affairs and warrants and extraditions. Fund 2148 has plenty of cash to support this request. These vehicles will be utilized to conduct official business for the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 765-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 765-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next up, economic development and planning.
Resolution number 773-23, resolution authorizing the county administrator to be designated as Franklin County's certifying officer and has the authority to prepare and approve all necessary documents related to the county's responsibilities as defined in 24 CFR Part 58.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jesse Armstrong, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, presenting this resolution on behalf of Economic Development and Planning. This resolution would authorize the county administrator to be designated as the county certifying officer for the purpose of multiple different grant programs administered by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. At the county level, these programs are administered by Economic Development and Planning, and the county is required as a responsible entity for these programs to make certain certifications and designate a certifying officer. Our office has worked with Economic Development and Planning, OMB, and the county administrator to come up with a process under which the administrator would be designated the certifying officer and would be signing off on these certifications. This process would include a memorandum from the Department of Economic Development and Planning indicating and showing that each of the requirements are met. And this would ensure a full and thorough review that all of the HUD requirements for these programs are being met. And this process was, again, the result of work by our office in conjunction with EDP and the county administrator. This puts full transparency and the highest level of review on these certifications which are necessary to implement these grant programs. Pending any questions, I would respectfully request your approval.
I do have a question.
No,
Did you?
please.
So prior to this resolution, who was the certifying officer, or who was allowed to sign the documents from HUD?
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe the common practice was the Director of Economic Development and Planning, Jim Schimmer, oftentimes was the one who was acting as the certifying officer and signing these documents. We had some questions from EDP, and actually Director Schimmer raised these issues to our office, who reviewed it with him, and we do believe that the best and safest route going forward would be for the county administrator to take over that role in conjunction and working with our office and EDP.
Okay, I would agree. My second question is, so for the certifying officer would sign the documents prior to, so say we're talking about CDBG or the home where a plan has to be submitted and certified. So would the plan come before the Board of Commissioners first for approval and then go to the administrator for certifying as a certifying officer, or would he review it first and then come to the commissioners? Well, that would be backwards. So I guess I might have answered my own question right there. But if you could just, I just want to make sure, what's the process?
Sure, thank you, Commissioner. I believe the sequence would be the Board of Commissioners approve these programs in general, and then we receive applications for a particular project within one of the programs. It is after we receive their application and part of the county's review process where we have to make these, they're often environmental reviews, where the certifying officer conducts a review, makes sure it meets the requirements, and then would sign off on it.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator, I just wanted to add to what Mr. Armstrong is saying. Documents such as the action plan would be signed by me as a certified officer after action is taken by the board, which is my intent, to always bring those documents forward and then sign as the certifying officer.
Okay. All right.
The only exception to that would be if something was brought forward and HUD explicit requirements required a signature to start a process that you ultimately, as a board, would ratify.
Okay. I know there was a question last year where, I guess there was a question between, and went kind of back and forth with the DCA Janice at the time, about whether on some forms it would be like the president of the Board of Commissioners would be able to sign documents. But I think this resolution kind of just makes it easier and simpler, where we don't have to worry about who actually should be the certifying person, whether it's the president of the board or the administrator. It'll just go to you for documentation after it's come to the Board of Commissioners for approval on plans.
Yeah,
On action plans.
Yes, Mr. Armstrong and Ms. Janine Hummer has, along with OMB, looked at this extensively, and this process ensures that documents rise to the level of county administration, the administrator, so that we don't have any gaps as far as communication with housing and urban development,
Right. All right.
or matters related to the community development block grant program, a home program, et cetera.
Or any other program, right. Okay. Well, I appreciate the work on this. No further questions?
No, my questions were answered, thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 773-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 773-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 766-23, review of petition to annex 1.463 acres, more or less, from Madison Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-33-23.
Good morning, Commissioners. Matt Brown, Planning Administrator for the County's Economic Development Planning Department. This resolution is to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation of 1.463 acres, more or less, from Madison Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes 5105 Ebright Road, parcel number 180-000-859. The petition was filed by Eric Zartman of Underhill and Hodge LLC on behalf of the property owner, Paul D. Atkins. 68% of the site's perimeter is contiguous to the City of Columbus, and the city passed ordinance number 2430-2023 on September 11th, 2023, indicating the services that will be provided once the annexation is approved. The petition meets all statutory requirements outlined in Section 709.021 of the Ohio Revised Code. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 767-23. I keep doing that.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 766-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 767-23, review of petition to annex 9.504 acres, more or less, from Madison Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-34-23.
Commissioners, this resolution is to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation petition of 8.504 acres, more or less, from Madison Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes 5091 Ebright Road, parcel number 180-005101, and 5071 Ebright Road, parcel number 180-000002. The petition was filed by Eric Zartman of Underhill and Hodge LLC on behalf of the property owners, William and Angela Lutz, and Robert and Judith Johnson. 49% of the site's perimeter is contiguous to the city of Columbus, and the city passed ordinance number 2435-2023 on September 11th, 2023, indicating the services that will be provided once the annexation is approved. The petition meets all statutory requirements outlined in Section 709.021 of the Ohio Revised Code. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
With no comments or questions, move for adoption of 767-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 767-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 768-23, resolution to adjust the boundaries between the City of Columbus and the City of Whitehall, case number ANX-39-23.
Commissioners, this resolution is to consider a boundary adjustment of 4 acres more or less from the city of Columbus to the city of Whitehall, as provided for under Ohio Revised Code 709.37. The area to be adjusted is located at the southeast corner of the East Main Street and Barnett Road intersection and includes 3 privately owned parcels, including 3477 East Main Street, parcel number 010-087-538, and 3515 East Main Street, parcel numbers 010-217-330 and 010-217-331. The City of Columbus passed ordinance number 1457-2023 on July 17th, 2023, agreeing to the transfer, and the City of Whitehall passed resolution number 008-2023 on April 4th, 2023, agreeing to the acceptance of the land from the City of Columbus. Certified copies of the Columbus ordinance and Whitehall resolution were submitted to Franklin County for further proceedings, and the petitioning municipalities have met all statutory requirements outlined in Section 709.37 of the Ohio Revised Code. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 768-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 768-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 769-23, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Shanika D. Campbell at 6934 Black Oak Drive, Reynoldsburg, Ohio, 43068.
Good morning. I'm Julissa Tirushavan, Executive Assistant for EDP. Shanika D. Campbell received on September 20, 2012 from Franklin County a home loan for $5,026 on real estate, commonly known as 6934 Black Oak Drive, Reynoldsburg. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied, and I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 769-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 769-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 770-23, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Marcus D. Chittison at 510 Whitehall Drive, Columbus, Ohio, 43213.
Marcus D. Chichens received on June 20, 2014 from Franklin County a home loan for $4,203.19 on real estate, commonly known as 510 Whitehall Drive, Columbus, Ohio. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied, the property taxes are paid and current, and I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 770-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 770-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 771-23, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Robert Rumsey at 494 Pamlico Street, Unit T6, Columbus, Ohio, 43228.
Robert Ramsey received on June 30th, 2020 from Franklin County home loan for $6,000 on real estate, commonly known as 494 Pamlico Street, Unit 6, Columbus. The requirement of the housing loan have been satisfied, and I respectfully request the approval of the discharge of mortgage on this property.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 771-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 771-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, purchasing.
Resolution number 772-23, resolutions approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,372,266.59.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing. I'm joined this morning by Tamika Bumper, Economic Equity Administrator for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This resolution requests your approval of 72 purchase orders for which the County Auditor has pre-certified available funding. Tamika has prepared the supplier diversity data for you today. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning. 7 of the purchase orders presented on today, are awarded to small emerging businesses totaling $268,790.90. 3% is being awarded to minority-owned businesses, 1% to small businesses, and 6% are awarded to women-owned businesses. Once approved, 5 agencies have provided equitable and inclusive opportunities for small businesses this week. Those agencies include Child Support Enforcement Agency, Common Pleas Court, Data Center, Domestic Relations and Juvenile Court, and the Engineer's Office. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 772-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 772-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any journalizations?
Yes, I have 4.
Oh,
Case
sorry.
number, case number ANX-40-23. An expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-40-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on October 4th, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 59.743 acres from Jackson Township to the city of Grove City. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on November 7th, 2023. The sites are 1335 Thrailkill Road, PID number 160-000016, and 3709 Jackson Pike, PID number 160-000157. Case number ANX-41-23, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-41-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on October 4th, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 0.47 acres from Franklin Township to the city of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on November 7th, 2023. The site is 4212 Ongaro Drive, PID number 142-000028. The Franklin County Board of Commissioners has received a proposal from the Franklin County Recorder's Office for funding the Recorder's Technology Fund. The Board of Commissioners will hold an administrative session mandated by Section 317.321, Section D of the Revised Code to discuss the proposal on Thursday, October 12th, 2023, following briefing. And finally, the 2023 committee assignment for the Board of Commissioners regarding the Franklin County Planning Commission has been updated to assign Emily Cooner as Commissioner Boyce's designee. The noted assignment will be filed with today's meeting minutes for the record and be distributed to our internal and external partners who may be impacted by this selection.
All right, thank you. Are there any members of the media, online or in person, that has any questions for the commissioners or administration? All right, hearing or seeing none, that concludes our business for today. Thank you. Have a wonderful Tuesday.